Hello and good morning, evening or afternoon, depending on when you are tuning into this latest SustyTalk video interview from Edie. As the name suggests, this is our series of video interviews in which we talk to sustainability professionals, help us all feel a little bit more connected and informed throughout COVID and beyond. So this started in the depths of lockdown number 1 here in the UK, early 2020, and we're continuing it still into 2022. And I'm delighted to have on the call with me today Mary Child from Nespresso UK, who I understand is literally a matter of miles away from me at the company's Gatwick office. And Mary is the brand's sustainability lead. So thank you so much for your time, Mary. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for taking the time. I understand that it's been a busy time for you with the B-Corp certification, which we're going to be talking about today. And yeah, it's just that time of the year as well, isn't it? End of financial year reporting season, summer events planning. It's just
Lots going on.
Yeah, busy time for a lot of us. So thank you for taking the time. I know that we at Edie have probably spoken to you over the past 5 or so years that you've been at Nespresso, but it would be good to start with an introduction to yourself and to your role as sustainability lead, nonetheless, for those that might not be aware.
Yeah, so I'm Mary. I'm the sustainability lead for the UK and Ireland operations for Nespresso, which is now a certified B Corp. So my role really involves driving the sustainability agenda forward. So things like working on our carbon roadmap towards carbon neutrality and beyond to net zero, but also leading some key recycling projects such as Podback, which is the first cross-industry recycling scheme for coffee pods in the UK. I also act as a sustainability representative, both within the Nespresso global network, as well as the British Coffee Association as well.
Great, thank you for that. And yeah, as I've mentioned, it's the B Corp certification that I wanted to focus on today. So in spring, the brand announced that it achieved B Corp certification with a B impact assessment score of 84, making it one of the biggest brands in the UK to get this certification. And yeah, B Corp certification has been such a hot topic for us at our forum in London earlier this year. The B Corp breakfast was, not a seat-free standing room only. Our publisher is actually going through B Corp certification as well. So there's a lot of demand to hear about what that process looks like behind the scenes. So it'd be great to get some insight into how that works. So when did that process start? And yeah, how did you involve other parts of the business to deliver that certification?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think B Corp, quite rightly, is a very rigorous process. So in order to become B Corp certified, businesses have to undergo what's called a business impact assessment, which is a very broad set of questions relating to our environmental and social performance. And so to become certified, businesses need to achieve a minimum of 80 points out of 200. So it was an incredibly complex and challenging process for us because the question set is so broad. So it covers all sorts of things from our employment policies through to our environmental impact, through to our impact on local communities and our governance structures. So it was a very broad set of questions. In fact, I think there were more than 1,500 different proof points that we needed to answer. And each of those different proof points requires evidence to kind of justify or substantiate, our answers as well. So, and, being such a large organisation, there was quite a high level of scrutiny with some of those questions. So, it was a hugely administrative task to gather all of that data to support all of those different proof points. And because of how broad it is as well, it really required the input from lots of different stakeholders. So locally in the UK, most teams were involved in gathering that evidence. So we had colleagues from HR, from finance, from supply chain, all kind of trying to gather all of this information to support the impact assessment. But it's a global certification as well, so that was just the UK market, but all of the markets were involved, and our global headquarters in Switzerland as well, who were kind of leading the project as well. So it was very broad and very administrative, but I think a very rewarding one. It actually took us more than 3 years to complete the certification process, so very proud that we became B Corp certified in the end. So as well as completing the B impact assessment, we also need to make the answers publicly available as well. So it's a very transparent process. And we also needed to change some of our legal framework as well, so that we're actually legally accountable to drive a positive environmental and social impact. So I think that, you know, this combination of the third-party validation, as well as the public transparency and as well the legal accountability, really helps B Corps to really build trust and value amongst their stakeholders. You know, it's not the end here now. Now we've achieved the certification, it's really just the start of our journey. So now we're going into a phase of continuous improvement. So we've started working on our B Corp improvement plan and really starting to get involved in the B Corp community. So yeah, I think it's just really the start of the journey, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds.
Yeah, we've heard that from a lot of companies, and even within our own, it's been, yeah, a lot. And we're an SME. We've got between 50 and 65 people at any given time. So yeah, getting some of that data in and looking at what needs to be changed and formalised has been really enlightening, really. And as you mentioned, we can go and look at that B impact assessment online, but I wanted to get your feel on what was revealed during that, because we found a number of things positive and negative about our existing approach. We were doing better in some areas than we thought, but in some areas some things just hadn't been formalised. So I wanted to get your feel on, yeah, any surprises that process brought up. And you mentioned having like an improvement plan going on, needing to change the legal framework, obviously, which is a requirement. So if these surprises were found, what tinkering has been done to targets or programs in the near term?
Yeah, so the B impact assessment is a positive assessment. So companies are awarded points based on the positive impact that they have. There isn't any negative scoring as such. So, but although there's no negative scoring, the B Lab do include what's called a disclosure questionnaire, which is not weighted. And based on the answers of that disclosure questionnaire, they conduct a materiality assessment. And so, as Nespresso are a large organisation, we're operating in regions that could be hit by conflict or challenging issues around social inequality or climate change. And so it was some of these areas that the B Lab questioned Nespresso on or challenged us on. But we were really proud to share some of the great work that Nespresso has done. So, for example, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the work there to work very closely with farmers to provide tools and training to help to revive a coffee economy that has been hit by conflict. So working closely with the farmers there to help them rebuild that economy. As well as kind of extensive work that we do within coffee regions to help them transition to more regenerative agricultural practices.
That makes sense, and that's what I wanted to come on to actually. So I saw the announcement when it first came out, lots of buzz around LinkedIn, and then within a few weeks there was quite a big debate in LinkedIn. I don't know if I'm just really niche in the UK B Corp communities, and there's been debate around whether a big business should be allowed to certify as a B Corp. What impact this will have on some of the smaller brands that started the movement and have now got like the top 10% of scores, and also which businesses should be able to certify based on, as you say, their supply chains, where they operate. Have these supply chains had a big historic negative impact on people and planet? So it would be great to hear about, yeah, how you would respond to people that might say, you know what, larger businesses shouldn't be in this and some industries shouldn't be in this.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really great question. And I think kind of for Nespresso, the B Corp certification really builds on 30 years of continuous commitment to sustainability for Nespresso. So sustainability isn't something that's new. It's really been at the heart of the business for the past 30 years through these global initiatives, such as supporting more than 120,000 farmers to really embed sustainable agricultural practices within their operations, through to more local initiatives like driving recycling rates through schemes like Podback and other dedicated channels. So I think, you know, it really builds on our past 30 years of commitment, but of course we know that we can do more, and it's really, you know, we see that B Corp helps us to provide a framework to accelerate that change. And I think, you know, we're joining a community of other like-minded businesses that also very purpose driven and want to use business as a force for good. And I think what I really like about the B Corp community is that it is very diverse. So you do get lots of different businesses of different sizes from different sectors. And so I think that diversity of the different sizes and different industries provides a real opportunity for us to collaborate and to each other and to really come together to tackle some of these very complex issues. So I think, yeah, I mean, there's a real opportunity to get involved in the community and collaborate on these issues, and very excited to, you know, use the size of our business to deliver impact at scale and to support communities globally on sustainability. But I think we can also start to inspire other multinationals to start to think about the way that they're doing business as well.
Yeah, I think we're definitely at like a point with the multinationals here. I understand that B Lab itself is developing a certification for larger businesses. So, for example, like the parent company of Nestle is Nespresso, and I understand that Danone's been contributing to that as well. So it does feel like we might see more bigger businesses in the near future, just based on what they're doing and the market interest in that. And I wanted to come back to that point that you mentioned on collaboration as well, which always comes up when we talk about B Corp, purpose-led business, or just sustainability in general. And I wanted to talk about going forward, that this is a starting baseline, even though it's been 30 years of general work and 3 years of specific work on B Corp. So the business got 84 points on the B Impact assessment, and a minimum of 80 is required for certification. We see that a lot of business aim to go up in their scores in the coming years through collaboration and through targeted improvements. And you mentioned that the business has an improvement plan in the works. So it'd be good to hear about, at this moment, what the priority areas are for improvement in the future, and how you will approach that recertification, because as you say, 3 years sounds like a long way off. But yeah, you need to start sooner rather than later with B Corp.
Yeah, so I think a key focus for us at Nespresso is around the environmental impact. We really recognise the urgency of the climate crisis, and so our focus will be on reducing our carbon footprint. And so this is why we've accelerated our commitment to be carbon neutral by the end of 2022. And this will be achieved through two things. It will be reducing our emissions, but as well compensating for our residual emissions through things like forest protection, and also by providing clean energy to communities as well. So we hope that this will be seen as a bold step for our customers, but also one that they can really get involved with through things like recycling, through schemes like Podback, but also choosing machines with eco-design credentials as well. So we really hope to take our customers on this journey with us. But as well as this, we're taking very transformative actions now on our longer term goal to be net zero by 2050. So we've identified 6 key areas of focus, and this is regenerative agriculture, eco-design, so increasing the recycled content and recyclable materials in our products, renewable energy, moving towards 100% renewable energy in our boutiques and operations, logistics, so working with our key partners to improve the emissions of our delivery, tree planting. So we've already planted more than 5 million trees. So we're looking to kind of explore further carbon sinks, and also recycling. So, trying to drive up the recycling rates locally as well. So of these areas, I think a real key focus is regenerative agriculture. So a big proportion of our carbon footprint is at farm level. So it's really important that we focus on moving farmers towards more regenerative agricultural practices, things like improving soil cover, agroforestry, and also using more organic fertilizers as well. So we've recently partnered with the Rainforest Alliance to actually develop a scorecard to help farmers with that transition to towards more regenerative agricultural practices. I think more of a focus for us locally is around the recycling. So in the UK, we've developed a scheme called Podback, which is in collaboration with JDE and NDG, which really aims to offer customers a much easier way to recycle their capsules. So customers can recycle nationwide at their local drop-off point, or they can, in some local authorities, they can just leave it alongside the normal household recycling at curbside as well. So really trying to make it as easy as possible for customers to recycle and drive up recycling rates locally, and this can really support, you know, the global commitment towards net zero. So yeah, I think, you know, we really recognise the urgency of the climate crisis, and we're already starting to engage our employees, our customers and partners in this area. And I think B Corp really provides us with a framework to accelerate this commitment, work with other businesses, benchmark against other businesses. And, you know, I think it also really helps to provide guidance to our employees as well, and really helps them to recognise what their contribution is to our sustainability roadmap.
Of course, and I think that we had the brand on our Net Zero Business podcast a few years back, so maybe it's time to catch up, because we could do a whole other one of these talks about, yeah, how exactly you create a net zero coffee value chain. But on B Corp, that is all the time we have for today, Mary. So thank you very much for your time and for your insight.
Great, thank you so much for having me.